Welcome to Brainy's GARP SCR Chapter series. In this video, we will focus on Chapter number 3, Climate Change Risk. With all videos, in order to run you through the chapter, we are going to use Brainy's proprietary summary notes. This is a 100-page summary of the 200-page GARP SCR curriculum. The good thing is, you can download it, you can print it, and while this GARP material is only available online, unless you buy the $300 book. Chapter focuses on climate change risk, and with that we particularly talk about financial risks that are linked to climate change. Climate risk is a result of the physical climate hazards and drivers of economic low carbon transition. These two risks can be described as physical risk, which cause actual damage today, and transition risks, which can lead to things like stranded assets and write-offs. Climate risk results from an interaction of hazards or driving factors with exposure and vulnerability. Stranded assets is a topic discussed here in more detail. Some industries are at risk of being subjected to stranded assets, like high-emitting industrial assets such as coal-fired power plants and steel plants. Now, they are subjected to transition risks. On the other hand, those can be divided into acute hazards, which include weather-related events such as floods and hurricanes, and chronic hazards, such as the gradual long-term trends, such as average temperature rises, rising sea levels, and so on. Now, it is still very difficult to understand direct physical risk. Developing regional estimates is less precise than global models, just because the kind of pointing down at a specific area is really hard to estimate. The same is true for indirect physical risks as well. The difference between direct and indirect here in this chapter is direct relates to a corporation, indirect relates to things that, maybe in your supply chain, companies that are associated with you or that you rely on but don't, belong to you as in terms of the corporation is concerned. And those can also be kind of hit by climate hazards. And this is then indirect physical risks or risks, but they also can create opportunities. One example could be, if you run a company that creates hurricane-resistant windows, for you, that's great. That's a big opportunity. And of these types of companies, there exist many more. Even if you are kind of on the technological side and you create something that is in competition with high-emitting industry, but you do it in a way that's less emitting, that's an opportunity for you. The next chapter then looks at the other type of risk. We're talking here about transition risk, and it breaks it down into its core components, which are policy and legal risk, technology risk, reputational risk, and other risks such as market risk. It goes into detail to describe each one of these risks. Transition risk itself can also create opportunities, equipment for the low carbon economy. One big challenge in fighting climate risk is that many of the places that will be hit the strongest are places that depend a lot on carbon-intensive sectors. If enough of a country becomes stranded because of their national product, fossil fuels, becomes redundant, that creates stranded human capital. And so the chapter goes on to describe what the just transition is. The just transition is the response to move to a lower carbon world, which doesn't penalize large amounts of people that depend on the higher emitting industries. The concept of a just transition involves reallocating resources and providing compensation for those affected by the transition, with a focus on ensuring social equity and environmental sustainability. The chapter finishes on how climate risks transmit into finance, the economy, and key sectors in a macro perspective. This concludes video number 3 on chapter number 3. We hope this is useful for you and that it gives you an overview of what to expect in chapter number 3 of the GARP SCR, and hopefully see you in the next video.